we use our spray paint tooling to spray on the red spray paint in the bottom right-hand corner. This mimics Tom Sachs in the fact that you have to paint before you cut out. This area is painted for the wedges on the chair. After the paint has dried for about 1 hour, the operator will load the plywood to the CNC axis router. This is what we use to cut out the chair. Currently, we can fit 2 chairs on 1 piece of plywood. This helps our batch size be 1, preventing whip. During this process, the operator ensures that the bit and the plywood is all running smoothly. There's compressed air located near the router to allow for chip clearance. The next process uses our tab cutter to cut out all the components of the first chair. This allows for us not to cut into any of the wasteboard located underneath the plywood. The plywood is held by a vacuum system, therefore the tabs are needed to keep all components secure during the cutting process. The seat and seat back are checked with a go, no-go gauge to ensure that the dovetails are proper. After the components leave the CNC router, they are placed on the proper Kanban. Next, weights are placed on the plywood to ensure that those other components don't move during the next chair cutting process. Next is our routing process. First, we need to set up the router using the setup gauge. This allows us to ensure that the fence is lined up directly with the router bearing. While routing the seat back and the seat, setting the fence directly with the routing bearing ensures that we do not slip into the dovetail grooves. Next process is to route all the edges of the seat and the seat back, including the inside of the handle. Next step, once everything is routed, is to place in the proper Kanban. Our next process is using our table saw sled tooling to cut the 8-degree angle off all 4 chair legs. This ensures that the chair sits flush with the ground and it also sits flush with the seat. Before each leg is placed in their Kanban, it is checked with a go, no-go gauge to ensure that that angle is correct. Our next operation is cutting the dovetails on the seat back supports. First, we use our dovetail tooling to do a first pass, which is very light, and then a final pass, which has more pressure. We always cut within a climb cut to minimize tear out. Once all the dovetails are cut out, we use a go, no-go gauge to ensure that all the dovetails are the correct size. Once they are checked with the no-go gauge, they are passed on to their proper Kanban. The next process is our sanding process. This is where all 11 components of the chair come to meet in one place. First, everything is sanded with our edge block tooling. This has 100 grit paper and is used to sand all tear out and fuzziness left from previous processes. We also have our interior stick tooling that is used to sand all slots. This is also used 100 grit sandpaper. We only sand edges and we don't sand any faces of the plywood. This is due to we have a very nice birch veneer finish on both sides of the plywood, so they do not need sanding. Then we move on to 180 grip to clean up all edges and all interior slots as well. Once everything is sanded properly, they are placed in their proper can bands to move on to the next process. Our next process is our pre-finish inspection. This is where all components of the chair are assembled to ensure that the chair assembles smoothly. This process ensures that there are no defects and everything is checked before heading off to finishing. Once the chair is fully assembled, the operator does a full check, checking the overall height, width, and length, and also checking the squareness of the legs. This ensures that when the chair goes to finishing, everything will assemble properly. Next, the operator will sign a slip ensuring that all these things were checked, and it will move on to its Kanban. The fully assembled chair is picked up from its Kanban and brought into the finishing room. This is where it's disassembled. Once the chair is disassembled, it is placed on our dovetail protecting tooling to ensure that no lacquer gets within those dovetail joints. All the other pieces are hung up on our finishing wire tooling. Lacquer is sprayed on all surfaces and edges. During this process, we are in a spray booth that allows for ventilation during the spraying process. Now we wait for around 15 minutes for the lacquer to fully dry. Then we move on to our sanding process. All pieces are sanded lightly. All edges and faces are sanded. Once everything is sanded, everything gets placed back on the tooling to get sprayed for its second coat. For the second coat, all faces and edges are sprayed evenly. After the final coat of lacquer is sprayed on all the pieces, you have to wait 15 minutes for it to thoroughly dry. Once dry, the painter inspects every piece to ensure that there is no drips. Once the piece is inspected and looks good, it is moved on to its proper Kanban. Next, the operator will grab all pieces from the Kanban and bring it to the final inspection post-lacquer. This inspection ensures that all the pieces fit properly after the lacquer has been applied. Once the operator sees that all the pieces fit correctly, they will fill out a final inspection slip. The slip will go with the chair to packaging. The next process is creating our own unique box. We use a 4x8 sheet of cardboard to cut out this box. This includes all the wedges and components to keep all the chair components still within the package. We first cut out the box, then we move on to our custom nylon ball end tool to crease all the fold lines of where the box should be folded. After the box is fully cut out, we have to lightly sand all edges to remove any burrs that the mill left. Once all edges are sanded, the operator will fold and assemble the box. Once the box is transferred over to the packaging area, we insert all 4 legs within the box. Then we insert the wedges into its separate component to prevent scratching. We then insert the seat back supports, the middle support, and the seat back. Then we place our inserts to ensure that the seat is properly held within the packaging. Once the chair is packaged, the operator will fill out a packaging checklist to ensure that all parts are within the package. Including this checklist, all previous quality checks and the instructions will be placed within the packaging. Then it can be closed up and ready to ship.